Oh, good.
Hello everyone, welcome.
Good morning.
My name is Carol Himelhoch of Himelhoch Department Store at himelhoch.com. And this is Bonnie Fahoome of Design Core Detroit. And
Pleasure to be here this morning.
oh, we are so excited to be with Bonnie. We've partnered to collaborate on a lot of activity for learning who some of these amazing designers are in the Detroit area. They're starting to come on board to partner with us as fashion partners. And it was really eye-opening to me to learn about how much cool stuff is going on in Detroit. And Bonnie, you are right in the center of it, so I thought it would really be wonderful to go to the source, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about not only what's happening in Detroit, but some of what Design Core Detroit does.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
I would make one small correction that I'm at the center of the design because I do not have any design background myself. However, it is very exciting for Design Core to be at the center of the design movement and to be the stewards of Detroit's UNESCO City of Design designation. So for those watching that don't understand what that is, the United Nations has a program, a Creative Cities Network, and there are about 156 cities, roughly, maybe a few more, give or take, around the globe that are designated in particular areas of creativity. So it might be gastronomy or architecture, it might be literature, it might be music. One of the categories is design, and out of all of the cities in the Creative Cities Network, there are about 32, again, give or take one or two because people come on periodically. But about 32 cities of design. Detroit is the only city of design in the U.S. So can I get a whoop, 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 whoop?
Absolutely. I mean, that's so incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But we are a city of design. Our organization is the steward of that designation. So what it means is that we participate with the network globally and bring to the forefront for those members as well as for other people the sort of legacy, the history, and the opportunity that design presents in terms of an economic development driver. So the designation doesn't carry any actual award and there's no money associated with it. It's more or less a call to action. So if your region can demonstrate, that you have this history, that you have this opportunity, and for us, some of that comes from our educational institutions and the fact that we graduate so many engineers and so many designers, and our history in the auto industry, as well as Michigan's history in furniture and fashion. And so all of that came into play when we applied for the designation. The other thing that makes it unique for Detroit is that it's our organization that stewards the designation. In many of the creative cities around the globe, the designation is owned or managed by a municipal department, and so it's basically being driven by whatever that city or that particular department within the city cares about at the moment. So we use the example, our sister city of design, Montreal. It's their planning department that achieved their designation and that manages that for Montreal. So a lot of what you'll see in terms of their longer term results is in the built environment. So for Detroit, it was really unique because it wasn't a particular municipality. It was kind of more of a general sort of broad call to action around design and how can we use design as a driver for sustainable and equitable growth for the whole city. So knowing that all of these initiatives are happening around the revitalization of our city and the forward movement of our economy, there were lots of options. And we ended up sort of landing on mostly Design Core works in three really deep verticals or three deep buckets of design. One would be visual and communication design, so supporting designers and design around content creation for social media, web development, photography, videography, brand identity for commerce and things like that. And then the second bucket is the built environment. So architecture, interiors, landscape, urban planning, how does design play a role there? Creative placemaking, which is a critical component of creating vibrant and dense cities. And then the third area is product design. And so this organization over the years has had some stops and starts in serving people that were designing and manufacturing or producing in small batches various products.
I'll interrupt you for a second because speaking of designers, Brianna Williams says hello.
Hi Brianna. Brianna's a perfect example of one of our product designers. So Brianna's been designing and handcrafting children's clothes and baby clothes for a couple of years now. Brianna, you can let us know, at least 5, I think, since I've known her.
Handcrafted organic cottons and organic linens and oh my gosh. Yeah.
All that great stuff. So our job is to identify those designers in the region that have, designs, or trying to get them manufactured. Really my role is to help those businesses scale. And so super excited to have been partnering with Himelhoch and the future Himelhoch, the e-commerce platform for creating a marketplace for design. Because most of what I'm trying to do is I work both kind of the supply and demand side of the design economy here, and it's really on the supply side helping the businesses with what they need from a business perspective, business education and networking and promotions, but really it's also about creating a market for design, for Detroit design in particular, for showcasing and promoting Detroit designers, not just here in our region, but on this platform that we have through UNESCO on a global platform. So when we learned what was happening with the Himelhoch opportunity and the new e-commerce department store, we were more than happy to see if we could plug some of our local design talent into that opportunity and really give them a chance to showcase the talent and what they do and the products, but also help them grow and build capacity within their brand.
It's such a natural fit for us to partner because our history as a department store is to support launching the careers of designers also. So we're still in what I would call a soft launch phase.
Yes.
We're building, and so many of the designers who have come on board so far have been through our relationship with you. You've turned us on to so many talented people. So I just out of curiosity, where do you? I mean, some come through CCS, correct? Where do you get these relationships with people?
Some come through CCS, true. We do have some amazing design schools here, and Design Corps is part of the College for Creative Studies, so we have a strong relationship with some of the programs here, and particularly for fashion. This is, I think, the 3rd or maybe 4th year that they have a robust fashion and accessory design program here run by Aki Chocolat. So there's a lot of great talent, But also we are very intentional at Design Corps about identifying talent that has not necessarily come out of the private education, but we're looking for folks from the neighborhoods who have been doing this for a long time. There's a number of designers that are in our network that are self-taught, that have been designing for years in various areas, accessories and fashion and home goods and other things like that. And we are intentional about seeking those designers and bringing them into the network and the community and helping them grow and develop as well. So many of those that I sent you would not be necessarily folks that we knew from CCS, but that we have kind of in our broader network. Design Corps has series of events where we celebrate design. We have the Month of Design in September. It used to be the Detroit Design Festival, and it has evolved now to a whole month of celebrating design and Detroit designers in particular. But leading up to that, all throughout the year, every month we have Drinks by Design, which is a large event, really cool, interesting event. It's always in a different place. We attract about 350 people a month, and we use those platforms as not only a way to highlight and showcase the designers we already know about, but as a way of attracting more designers that we haven't yet met into the fold and offering our services and support for the growth of their business. And so many of the folks that I sent to you, we found through that. We've also found through our partnerships with a number of the other business support organizations in town. We have strong relationships with Tech Town Detroit and Build Institute and Detroit Economic Growth Corporation and many, many others, Prosper Us. They have platforms for serving these designers, and we work together and sort of share and refer services so that we can make sure that the people who could benefit from what we do.
I need a hi, Shayla.
Shayla,
Shayla.
Yes, Shayla's one of my favorites. Shayla has a really interesting, cool product. So she has been silk screening and making textiles for a long time, and tea towels and pillows and things like that, but is also really interested in evolving her business and growing it to be able to provide larger swatches or swaths. I guess it wouldn't be a swatch if it was large, but large volumes of fabrics for interior designers and other folks that are designing textiles. And so it's really cool and interesting and fun to, watch her business grow. She's amazing.
I've seen photos of some of Shayla's work, and it's truly impressive.
Yeah. So a funny story example of how we meet people, right? I met Shayla actually the first time I met her. I was buying a tea towel from her. She was set up at a stand somewhere to pop up. Yeah, I think it was at Pony Ride, and we met, and since then have just kind of continued to evolve, and we're trying to help support the growth of her business, and as well as many others. So it's fun.
That's great. That's great. So, gosh. And the diversity of, we actually, let's see, Scott Tallinger, he's going to be coming on board. He's a faculty member here, correct?
Yes.
So he's in the process of getting some pieces together. That's exciting. So the diversity of design is really interesting. It's also interesting that I think what's happening here among all of the designers is truly unique. It's not cookie cutter stuff that you're just going to find anywhere. Right. And people are doing things like how they're reusing materials. For instance, like Workshop Detroit is repurposing lumber from abandoned buildings. I don't know. There's
Mutual Adoration does that as well. Yeah,
there's
a lot of interesting.
And Detroit Bikes, for example, is they have. The folks over there, they're really truly manufacturing every component of most of their bikes over here with using Detroit talent and all the machining, and it's almost becoming a lost art over here, but he's restoring it, and the quality of his bikes are just phenomenal.
Amazing. It's a great brand.
And they're actually fashionable. They're so attractive looking.
Right.
So aside from the form and feeling of being on a Detroit bike, they just
It's one of the reasons that we're so excited about increasing our efforts to support the product designers and to help work with folks like you, the Himelhoch department store, and others to create a market for that, because when you consider economic development, at the end of the day, you're being judged or evaluated by whether or not you help these businesses grow to the point where they can add more jobs. And so one of the things that we recognize, and we've had a standing partnership the last couple of years with the Urban Manufacturing Alliance, and understanding through all the research that they've done around the country and in Detroit, the real opportunity for job growth in neighborhoods if you're making things in the neighborhood. If you're developing a small batch production company like Detroit Bikes and other places, Mutual Adoration, they're adding, when they hire, they're hiring locally, they're hiring from the neighborhood. So it really, I think, benefits all of us if we can help these businesses grow, right? And around the manufacturing opportunity, obviously Detroit has been known for manufacturing for many years, but a lot of what had happened was it was a lot of widgets and a lot of suppliers to the auto industry, and then slowly as the auto industry started shrinking their supply base, a lot of those smaller manufacturers also found themselves, well, what are we going to do now? We're not making as many widgets. So there's a lot of equipment and space and just the talent of understanding how to make things and how to produce things. And what we're really working towards now is how can we help identify where those assets are and apply that to these growing designers, these small batch producers that could benefit from that understanding of how to scale their business in that way, and still maintain the artisanal sort of flavor and the creativity of the thing they're making. I think Detroit Bikes is a great example. I think there's others out there. So there's a lot of opportunity now too with different industries, and I think this is a really interesting time for Himelhoch because of this. So we're reading a lot. There's a huge movement around fashion manufacturing and textile production, and an effort to bring some of that back to Detroit. There's a large holding company, a global company that I think
Hi,
the
Tammy.
statistics.
Sorry.
I think the statistic that I heard recently was about 97%, at least, of all textiles produced in the United States for the last couple decades have been manufactured outside of the country.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
there's also growing awareness about the sort of polluting and the other things that the fashion industry, the fast fashion, and that
Yes.
that it's doing to the environment. And so there's a big movement within some of the really large brands, big global brands, to address that problem and to recognize that they need to start paying more attention to their footprint and all that kind of stuff. And so we've been in touch with, there's a movement and some support from the mayor's office and a number of different groups working on identifying whether there's an opportunity to, as some of these companies try to reshore their manufacturing and they're looking for places
Yes.
to land.
Yeah.
You know, why not Detroit? Why not Detroit? So it's
Look at
been
all this capability here.
right. So we've
Yeah.
been part of a number of conversations in the last year or so to help these companies understand the level of talent we have here, the assets we have here, the opportunity that is here. And so really trying to drive that conversation and move forward the opportunity that some of these larger global brands would have to start making, at least even on a small scale, some short-run production or some different collections here in Detroit. And so it's a really interesting kind of time for Himelhoch came up right in the middle of all those conversations. And then Isaac, there's a group called Isaac. It stands for Industrial Sewing and Innovation Center. It's being led by Jen Garino, who's also the Vice President of Manufacturing at Shinola. And it will, you know, it's a kind of a lot of different things, but I think the easiest way to describe it would be a workforce development in textile production, but also operating as a third-party contract manufacturing facility so that within a couple of years it's not only supporting itself, but it's becoming a profitable sort of engine for creating things for all the other designers around here, as well as some of the other global brands that are looking to make things back in Detroit again. So it's a really, really exciting time. And then you think about, really, we're about to graduate, I think either this year or next spring, maybe, the first class out of CCS's Fashion and Accessory Design program, which is also super exciting. I mean, the kids are sophomores, they're learning how to manufacture shoes. So they design and then manufacture every step of the way, like
that's a big plus
end.
of your program here, is that it's not just design, but the students are learning how to actually produce and manufacture something.
That's right. That's right.
So,
and Aki really believes
really
that it's
important to launching a career as a designer. So.
It's a critical part of it, because if you don't know how it's made, you can design all kinds of
and costing
pies
it out
stuff.
and all that.
But they're
how to source fabric, how to do all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have other organizations like Pingree Detroit.
Yes.
They're making boots and other things,
They're
and
a fashion
employee
partner
veterans.
for us.
Yeah,
They are so cool.
They're great.
And I love their mission. That's what's so cool, is that each of these designers has such a story.
Yeah.
And, you know, Pingree, for example, the people who sew their goods are former vets, U.S. vets, and even some ex-cons who've gone through serving their time, and they're productive members of society now.
Right.
And oh my gosh, the quality of their work is impeccable.
Amazing. Yeah. So they have a lot of really cool things. So they've been doing the shoes and the boots and other things, but then they are now also creating kind of some smaller leather goods that can be branded for different corporations, so that they can start using that as a way of, you know, keeping people working in between, you know, batches of shoes and stuff. So it's great. Yeah, and I think that is one thing that is really interesting and unique about Detroit and about the designers that we work with here. And you know, maybe it was born out of necessity, maybe it was just born out of, you know, passion and character. But
Detroit.
But what we know about Detroiters is, you know, there is almost always, with these businesses we work with, some other layer or component to their, you know, to their mission, and they have a social impact mission. They care about their community. They're giving back in ways of, you know, hiring and the way they're sourcing. You know, they're moving forward as socially conscious, ethical companies, as well as, you know, just the immense talent in design. So it's really amazing.
And you know what's really, I think, it's just heartwarming and unique, is that there is this sense of community, and people are not just out for themselves, they're out for the good of the entire whole. And it just seems to be this movement that's happening that is, people are committed to wanting to do good and not just look out for themselves, but to help others in the process.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's right. We see that a lot with our membership network. So at Design Core, one of our ways that we serve the members, we have a membership network, so there's multiple layers and levels that people can participate across all those disciplines I mentioned. And what we see is, so if you look at visual and communication design for a minute, and the industry model that has sort of blown up, right? Like very few large, ad agency, that model is kind of going away, right?
Yeah.
So people are freelancing, and we have small firms. A lot of our firms are 1 to 5 people.
Yeah.
But what we find through the network is this opportunity for them to collaborate. So we had a member company a couple summers ago, applied to be the strategist, the communication strategist for the Detroit 67 project for Detroit Historical Museum. And what they needed was lots of things that in the old days you would have gotten from an agency where everything was in-house in the same agency, and it's an expensive model, and that doesn't really exist. So one of our member companies was like, well, we could do this part, but then we need someone else to do these other parts. But because they're part of the network and they were building these collaborative relationships and getting to know each other in different ways, they were able to kind of come together. And I think it ended up being 3 or 4 members of our network that applied for that opportunity conjointly. And one has to take the lead, of course, but everybody else, they work together through that. And so we really find it's an interesting thing. And it kind of leads me to, part of our UNESCO City of Design is we went through about a 1.5-year long process of devising a 10-year economic development strategy.
I was just going to ask you about the strategy.
Right. So over 1,000 Detroiters gave input into this action plan. And we landed on, kind of 3 core areas of focus for the design economy. One is the development of talent, which is really interesting for projects like Isaac and Pingree and things like that, with creating opportunities for people to work in design and understand the career path that they could have. And not all of those careers require college education. Some do, some don't, but it's creating opportunities for everybody to participate in the economy. Investment was the second pillar, and then policy. But under that, the bigger umbrella is we came away saying, like, okay, out of all of the cities of design around the globe, what's going to make Detroit unique? So each city of design kind of has their little flavor, their thing that they're known for or good at. And we were like, what's going to make Detroit unique? And what we realized after this whole process and interviewing all these people and focus groups and whatnot, again, 1,000 Detroiters gave input into this. And what we came away with is we really could have a unique opportunity to position Detroit as the global thought leader in the emerging practice of inclusive design. Meaning, if we give everybody a chance to participate, if we bring everyone to the table, if we recognize everybody's voices and we hear what people have to say, we put humans at the center of the problem solving, then we're going to come out with a better city, more sustainable, more equitable, and creating opportunities for everyone. And so I really, it's one of the things I think in our first conversation that really resonated with me about the Himelhoch model and the history, which I was unaware of until our first conversation, where you bring on, you're not just looking for the established brands who can sell things for you and drive up profit and revenue, but you're really looking for emerging designers who are looking for a platform to start gaining recognition for their talent. And I thought that fit really well with our values and our idea around inclusive design and creating opportunities for everyone, whether they graduated from a private college or they were self-taught because their mother taught them how to sew.
Absolutely, there's some incredible talent that came up that way, through that path. Yes.
So and it's interesting too. Tracy Reese, who is a very well-known designer, she's dressed Michelle Obama and some other folks. She's going to be doing a project in Detroit that involves kind of training up some young talent too, and she says to her it's very personal and she's very passionate about it because that's how she landed in a career in fashion design, was because her mother taught her how to sew, and it started as a hobby and it grew from there. And I think a lot of our designers in Detroit, that's part of their story.
Well, and a lot of the designers also want to mentor upcoming designers. I think
Right.
of Dana Keaton, for example.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
and we're and there's this sense of community. For instance, I went to Dawn Smith of Visual Noise Detroit, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so exciting!" And then she went, and she started calling all of her friends in her network to tell them about us, and it's just this sense of collaboration. It's just really moving,
Right.
and to feel it and
Right.
be in the center of it, and so. Yeah,
It's exciting because I think too, a lot of this is, some people out there listening and watching us now are probably thinking, wow, like, who knew?
Right,
and
right.
until I started working for Design Corps, a lot of this was, kind of going over my head and happening around me too, and I was unaware. So in some sense, sometimes it's easy for people to be like, oh, this is all new stuff, and someone's coming in and bringing all these new solutions. But the reality of it is, as you've started to know some of these people, and you've met, Dawn and Dana and this is not new. They've been doing this for a really long time, and they've so the thing I think that we can bring and that we can offer both Design Corps and Himelhoch is helping to shed some light on what was already happening here, and not like we're responsible for birthing this movement because it was already happening.
You're facilitating a momentum.
Right, but we're trying to help shed some light. We're trying to bring awareness to the talent that has been out there, and to the folks like Brianna and Dana. And so you mentioned Dana, and for those that don't know, Dana Keaton's in her design studio on Livernois. She's actually training also, right? Very much like Tracy's project and a couple of others. She's training people on varying sewing techniques and how to there's sewing for a hobby, and then there's sewing for production. And every day I learn something new, and now I'm going to forget it. I thought it was so great that I learned this. But there's a name around what the package is or the pattern is when it's now ready for production. So you can design something in your mind and you can make it for yourself, but if you wanted to make it so that it could be replicated and you wanted to design that pattern, there's a whole package or a name for that. So for the emerging designers who don't know that,
somebody
that's being
online who
Dana,
can tell us what that is.
telling me what it is. If Dana's
I bet
out
Brianna
there,
knows.
but I mean, to me, that's what's fascinating about this. That's what's so our job is to help the folks that want to scale and want to take it to a bigger level, and out of the hobby stage and into more of like a growing commercial opportunity. My job is to help them find those resources because they get so busy and their heads down. They're just
absolutely
entrepreneurs. It's 24/7. You're working on your business. You're in it, and it's hard to sometimes remember to kind of look up and see what's around and what resources are there. So we were really happy to forge the relationship with you and to be able to help you guys, kind of structure the partnership agreement a little bit and then connect people to it. I mean, that's just really.
And we're still welcome partners. We're in our soft opening stage, and we have some great stuff on our website, and we're still seeking supporting that Detroit design movement ourselves. So
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, are there any closing thoughts?
I think that we're thrilled to be part of the conversation and to help where we can. I think if there are other designers out there listening that want to plug in to everything that's happening and want an opportunity, you can contact us at Design Corps Detroit, info@designcorps, that's CORE.org, and we can, make introductions, get to know you, see how we can support your business.
And they're really wonderful here. You truly are a great support, I think, in all around in every direction as you've described, and it's just, I so admire and feel grateful for what you're doing. And I'm grateful for you for taking time today to join us for this Facebook Live session.
I was happy for the opportunity.
And
One
question. Let's see. Where are you guys standing? What's behind you?
This is the Design Corps Detroit conference room, and I wish I could provide information about
It
this
kind of
lovely
looks like
painting.
it's got some of a bit of calculations on here too, like it's a plan. It's some kind of
Yeah, it's something. To be honest with you, I am not entirely sure who designed or who the artist is for this painting. It's been here since before I was here, but we are in the conference room at Design Core Detroit, which is in the A. Alfred Taubman Center for Design Education in New Center area.
So that's what we know. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We've had a lot of fun today. I hope it's been fun for you.
Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine.
Bye-bye.